Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Below the Line. My name is Andres Ramirez, and I'm here live from New York City from the New York Film Festival, the 63rd edition. Unfortunately, Zach won't be joining us today. He had a last minute thing, but I am going to make this episode worthwhile your time, and I'm sure he'll be back next week to discuss a lot of movies from The Conjuring to PTA's new movie, Another Battle After Another. Without further ado, I figured we would start with a recap of all the films I've been watching, all the films that have come out. So I guess I'll start with the film festival. Very interesting. It is the 63rd edition of the New York Film Festival. And it started with Luca Guadagnino's newest film, After the Hunt, starring Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield. To be honest, this is a very interesting script. In the introduction to the screening, they mentioned that this film was meant to be a discussion starter because it's a Me Too like movie. Basically, the premise of the film is this philosophy professor who has a weird relationship with one of his TAs, very confident. They're not sleeping together, but they're confident academically. They're both fighting for the tenure position, and they have parties with their students. It's like a doctorate or master program. And one of the students alleges that this confidant of the main character played by Julia Roberts, her confidant is Andrew Garfield's character, uh, sexually abused her. So the film never tells you what happened, and that is why it's an opening piece, like an opening dialogue piece. It's a film that it's often confusing, in my opinion. The thriller is there, but it leaves a lot of questions unanswered, unfortunately. Without that said, the performances by Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield are fantastic, and they carry the film throughout most of it. Luca Guadagnino's direction is phenomenal, in my opinion. However, I think it lacks focus at certain parts of the film. The film is almost 2 hours, and I think at certain moments you can feel the pace drag a little bit. To be honest, I miss the 90-minute film. I think sometimes cutting is it's an art, and I think a more paced film not only sells more tickets, but it's much more effective at giving you that punchline. This film is more similar to Tar, the Kate Blanchett film that came out a couple of years ago. Whether it's right to cancel someone, whether it's right to not cancel someone, and it dwindles into that mentality. I think Luca Guadagnino is going to have a conversation starter. I'm not sure if it's going to be the critic acclaimed movie or the Oscar movie that he might have wanted, because the film currently has a 54% in Metascore, a 6.1 on IMDb rated by the users, and a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes by its users. And I think either people are very divided on their opinion because, again, the film leaves you with more questions than answers. I won't spoil more, but it's an interesting film that comes out October 9th, so you will be able to join the conversation very soon. As I said, the performances by all the actors are very good, and if it's a film that will start conversations, although it feels like a film that should have come out 10 years ago because of its subject matter when this was at its peak and people were being brought to justice. Um, Unfortunately for me, it's a 6 out of 10, 6.57 out of 10. It continues my relationship with Luca Guadagnino. While I really enjoy Challengers, I think he was a director that brought a cinematic language to the game of tennis. And as a tennis player myself, I very much appreciated that. However, some of his films are a hit or miss. Like Queer was a miss with me. I was not interested in watching that film. Call Me by Your Name, well, I appreciate it as a film. I personally didn't connect with that. And Suspiria, It's beautifully shot, but I don't think Dario Argento's masterpiece should have been remade. And the one with Timothée Chalamet was a weird coming of age film that I enjoyed, but again, not something that personally clicked with me. And the film I just watched, I'm saving the best for last, which is uh, One Battle After Another One, PTA's big movie. The film that I just watched, The Mastermind, is Kelly Reinhardt's newest film. And it's a film that is very interesting at its core. It's a film that is 1 hour and 50. I would say you definitely feel the pace. Again, as I said, I wish this movie would had been cut to 90 minutes. I think the film would have made much more sense, if that makes sense, if they cut it to 90 minutes. And it was interesting hearing Kelly Reinhardt talk about this film in the Q&A. She said that she wanted the first part of the film to be very structured, and then the rest of the film kind of unwind. And without further to say, I would say she successfully did that. However, the film, it's a mess. It's a film with a lot of contrivances. It starts really strong, but as the film progresses, it becomes frustrating to watch because we never learn the motivations of the character. However, I would say that the score by Rob Mazurek, it's a jazz score. It's phenomenal. It carries the intensity at sometimes when the film struggles to be intense visually, the score gives it that intensity. So I think it's a film that if you've seen the trailer, I would think the trailer is pretty misleading. It stars Josh O'Connor, Alana Haim, Bill Camp, John Magaro. It's a good film. I would give it a 6 out of 10. Currently it ranks 78 and 6.5 on 78 on Metacritic and 6.5 with the audiences. It premiered at Cannes, and I believe this was its North American premiere. It's a bizarre film that happens in the 70s. There's some political aspects on the background, but she mentioned that she was not really trying to make a political statement. Um, it's just a film that has a lot of contrivances that hooks you very quickly, but amongst its weird tone, its campiness, and its 1 hour and 50 runtime, it drags itself. So for me, it was a 6 out of 10. It's a movie film, so if you really like Kelly's work, I would suggest you to watch it. If you're not subscribed to a movie on the theaters, this movie premieres October 17th. So it also coming out relatively close from today's recording, September 28th, and you'll be able to join the conversation. Before I move to PTA's newest film, I wanted to recommend a Broadway show, maybe a happy ending. It's a Korean American musical. It won all the Tonys. Beautiful story, beautiful set design. If you're ever in New York or in Korea, I believe they're still playing it. I would recommend this. And it's a wonderful film. It's a wonderful play, currently starring Andrew Bert Feldman, who was Hansen, who was the lead in Dear Evan Hansen a couple of years ago. So familiar to Broadway. So I would recommend it. Now, let's move on to PTA's masterpiece or most recent film. I mean, he has a lot of masterpieces, arguably. He made his masterpiece at 27 with Magnolia and then Punch Drunk Love and, Phantom Thread, Licorice Pizza. So, first of all, I consider myself amongst the fortunate ones. I was able to watch this film on film as it was shot on film. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch it on VistaVision because it only plays on VistaVision in 3 theaters in the world, and the one here in New York was currently sold out. So that created difficulties to watch it, but I was able to watch it on 7 millimeters. Visually, the film is stunning, beautiful, beautifully directed, and I think this film is weirdly time sensitive, based on a book from the '60s. It's a action packed film with a lot of entertaining moments. Leonardo DiCaprio gives a wonderful performance that carries the film as he's trying to look for his daughter. Basically, the premise of this film is that former militia anti-government retires, and that's Leonardo DiCaprio's character when he has a daughter. Years later, after being away from the revolution, as they call it, his daughter gets kidnapped by a former rival of his, who is played by Sean Penn. Sean Penn plays a wonderful bad guy in the film, and I think it's one of his best performances. And he is easy to hate. Leonardo DiCaprio is a drunk most of the time, but he's easy to root in his quest of just trying to find his daughter amongst the chaos that these revolutionaries do. And it is chaotic. It has PTA's quirky humor at times. And I would argue next week, as we discuss more about this film with Zach, that this is PTA's most mainstream film in a long time. I mean, the last couple of films that I remember of his were Licorice Pizza, which was a weird autobiography, but not really, and Phantom Thread with Daniel Day Lewis, which was very slow paced film, very adult. But this one felt it had action, it had chases. It felt like this was a movie that would have swept the Academy Awards in the early '90s, late '80s. Like it had that action for the men, it had that gun sequences, but it's also beautifully shot in the border, parts of the border with Mexico, and it's a very good movie. I would say go see it. I don't want to say much, but I think it'll be a high contender for Best Picture and maybe Best Directing, definitely Best Cinematography. However, I do have two comments. For me, it was an 8 out of 10. It was not a perfect movie because some parts didn't click, but it was a really good movie for me. However, I do have two comments and two things that I leave you hanging and that I hope that I can resume discussing next week with Zach. And the two things are, so this film, One Battle After Another, uh, it's a film that was shot in VistaVision, one of the first ones. Well, The Brutalist was also shot in VistaVision, but the thing about this film was that this was the first film to be shown in VistaVision in almost 40 years, I believe. However, this film was only shown in three theaters in VistaVision around the world: one in New York, one in London, and one in Los Angeles. So I think this sparks an open conversation that I hope to have with Zach next week about, well, filmmakers shoot their film in a way, but really either because the technology is too new. In the case of James Cameron, he's developing new technology, so he's forcing theaters to adapt because his films make $2 billion. But in the case of PTA, he's using old technology that most theaters have gotten rid of. So the question that I have is, well, what happens when the vision of filmmakers cannot be properly displayed, and where most audiences are going to see the film in a format that it's not the format that the filmmaker intended to see? Should movie theaters, distributors make an effort to give the audience this vision that these filmmakers have so we can entice more people going into the movies? And second, uh, is this a marketing tool? And should people just be able to enjoy this movie however they wanted to? Those are my two lingering thoughts. But it seems like if you wanted to, you could also watch it in 4D. So what do I know? Apparently, in Morocco, they were playing it in 4D. So maybe it's a film that just gives you all the formats, different experiences. Because I think by reframing it from VistaVision to 185, it could change the meaning of a shot. I don't know. I haven't seen it in 185, but I'm sure the framing is different. I know that to be for sure. I'm looking forward to have the discussion, hear what Zach thinks of the film. But it's a beautifully directed film. Since it's new, I won't say much, but go watch it. Go watch movies. There's lots of new movies. Go to your local film festival, support movies, support the people below the line. And without further ado, this is all for me. Hope you have enjoyed uh, these 2 weeks that we had for ourselves alone. I'm really looking forward to have Zach next week. And this has been one movie after another movie. See what I did there? I should give myself one of these because I made a really good joke. Please make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Spotify, follow us on our Instagram below the line 2025. Follow me at JARO2096 and follow Zach Houston Scott at the real Zach Houston at Instagram. Or no, the Zach Houston Scott, sorry, not the real. I haven't memorized. You know this is his part. And without further ado, live from the New York Film Festival, signing off is Below the Line. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful day. Good day, good night. Bye bye. Bye. Go watch movies.